All right. Here we are again this Thursday. And it is the David Washington Show. And with me again is Jimmy Auffant. Welcome back, Jimmy.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you. This is exciting. We're getting closer and closer to the Florida Democrats electing their new chair, and there's just so much going on in the Democratic Party that it's going to set the tone for the next several years.
For the next 4 years.
Yeah. Yes.
The chairman is elected for 4 years. The chairman basically, once is elected, is giving free reign to do what he or she feels fit, unless you do something inappropriate that would force you out, which has only happened twice in the last 25 years. So
Okay.
We are looking at an interesting thing. It's going to be this Saturday. The election will be Friday night. And people will ask me, what do I mean by Friday night? Have been there and done this twice. You will be meeting the 7 counties in a hotel room. You will be negotiating who's going to be the secretary, who's going to be the treasurer, who is going to have certain positions within the party, and basically who's the chairman going to be and what they're going to get in exchange for their votes. And they will walk out of there at about 2 o'clock in the morning and have decided who the new chairman will be. Last time it didn't work out that way because Palm Beach, who controls a large portion of the vote, would not participate in that meeting, and basically the committee woman at the end refused to even vote. So it was an interesting 4 years ago. But basically what happens is that we go out and they meet Friday night and they work out most of the details. After that, well, it's just an issue of who is going to be the 5 people who are going to be state committeemen and state committee women who are going to be part of the party, a national party, and that. So it's a matter of how things work out. The only thing that is really, really elected by everybody is the vice chair. Many years ago, we made a compromise that the vice chair is on a person-per-person vote, and so that one is really elected. The others are worked-out deals.
Okay.
So it's going to be interesting what's going to happen this Friday night.
Right. In one of our other shows, one of the topics will be the different candidates for the Florida Democratic Party leadership, and that'll be on our other podcast. You can't make this shit up. And I had an opportunity to listen to the Florida Black Caucus, Democratic Black Caucus. They did a forum. Not a debate per se, but more of a forum of the candidates, and it left a lot to be desired, but that's a different conversation. But I want to pick up where we left off last time.
Okay.
And last time we started the analysis of the 20-point plan that I presented of how to revitalize the Democratic Party, the Florida Democratic Party. And we covered the first 5, and now we're into the next 5 of the 20-point plan, and I'll just go through them very quickly. The first one, or number 6, invest in our youth. Number 7, run hyper-localized campaigns. Number 8, build an army of small dollar donors. Number 9, long-term planning. And number 10, stand up to DeSantis and the Republicans. And again, a shout out to our friend Samuel Viches Santiago, who put this together just after the November election. The first 10 points. The next 10 points are from yours truly, and we'll get into that during our next broadcast. But these 5 right here, I'd like to get your point of view. Invest in our youth. Let's go with that one.
Let's start with that one. People think that they are pathetic. They don't care. They don't want to do anything.
The youth.
The youth. I'm going to disagree and prove my point very seriously. The last two proposals in the 2020 county commission election here in Orange County were Clean Water and Split Oaks.
Yes.
They got 86% of the vote. The people who were most interested in the environment are the youth. We contacted them, we worked with them, they got the vote out, and they went out and vote. And basically, it was their push as how they did it. They did it very digital. They did it having their friends call their friends, and they did it in a way that texting and all that, which is something that the Florida Democratic Party has never thought of. Florida Democratic Party has always believed in what they call the coalition of African Americans, Hispanics, and women.
Yes.
Everybody else is out of the window and not really worked on, and for some reason they have the attitude of many young people don't vote. Well, I'm going to say two words about young people not voting. Bernie Sanders.
Okay.
Okay.
Enough said. Yes.
And he got the young people to vote out here. He got the young people to work during that campaign. So if you want to talk about young people, you have to talk their language and in their side. Trying to use the traditional things of sending flyers, not going to work. Knock on doors, I hate to say it, I do believe in canvassing, but with the young people it doesn't. It's making a plan that will reach the young people. If you could do that, you're in great shape.
And you make a good point. There are certain techniques that are going to work with one demographic versus another technique of reaching your voters, your supporters, your donors are going to be effective with another. With the young people, they are out and about. They're doing their thing. They're in school. They're working. They're doing everything that they do. They're hanging out, whatever. And they prefer, studies show that they prefer being messaged, not phone called, not taking the phone call, but text messaging or direct messaging.
Or even email, for that matter.
Email, yes. We have new platforms instead of SMS. We have Discord. We have Instagram. We have TikTok. And that's where the young people are.
Not for long if DeSantis has his way.
DeSantis, and at the federal level, even the federal government also. But however, you're right. We have to meet, and we studied this in the analysis of the first 5 points. We have to meet our supporters, our voters, our youth, where they're at, and a lot of times they're right here in front of their devices.
And unfortunately, the position of the Florida Democratic Party for the last, I would say, 25 years, they don't work the youth because they don't believe that they come out to vote. Plus, those who come out to vote are too much to the left for some of the people in the party who don't want to deal with people on the left.
Okay, right.
So
how do we bring them into the party, actually involved in the party? I remember recently in the last election cycle going to the UCF Democrats meeting, and it was a handful of Democrats, young Democrats, college Democrats there at the meeting, and their enthusiasm was questionable.
well, the problem is that what are we investing in them? These are the kids doing it down on their own. Is the party helping them? No. It's a party saying, hey, let me give you a Twitter account. Let me create for you an Instagram account. Let me create for you a TikTok portal so you can use the name Democrat. Because in Florida, by law, you have to get permission from the Florida Democratic Party to use the word Democrat.
Okay.
So basically, do they do that? No. At this point, they don't do anything. But if you want to get a pattern how to do it, don't go any further and go into the Bernie Sanders campaign and see how they did it. You never saw in Bernie's campaign anything but youth. How did they do it? They do it with Twitter. They did it with Instagram. They did it, even Facebook to a certain extent they used.
Right.
So basically, the party is just expecting the youth to show up, but is doing nothing. There's your problem. And traditionally, and UCF and other places, it's just Let the kids do it, and if they could get it, fine. If they can't get it, we're not going to invest in it. It's a problem that the Florida Democratic Party has never really invested in it. So they should say part of our budget is going to be used for Instagram, TikTok, and other things, technology, and find a way. And what else can we work that the kids are on? You know, we should not be finding out 10 years later that TikTok is popular. We should know at the time it becomes popular.
Exactly. Making those investments, incentivizing young people to get involved, to participate with the party, and make it a year-round thing, not just when students are in college, are in school, but year-round involvement. Okay. The next point, run hyper-localized campaigns. What do you think of that?
I've always had a logo that says, all politics are local, stupid.
Yeah.
And I understand that there's a degree that the party can and cannot do. And for example, there's 3 Democrats running the primary. They have to stay out. Once the primary is over, they have to get involved. I don't have a problem with it. But there's many things they could do, such as say, hey, here, I'm going to give you the van for free. The van is out there, and by the way, if not, create your own van. Hey, let me help you with Twitter. Hey, let me help you with speeches. Hey, let me tell you that we did some surveys here for which we pay for, and the number one priority in Orange County, believe it or not, is the environment. Most people don't even know that. They think it's other things. It's not crime, it is the environment. That's the number one. Here's the result. Here's what people think about it. We did it, when I was secretary, we did a survey that we sent to all the candidates about what is the interest of Hispanics, and believe it or not, it was not what people thought. Immigration was not even in the top 10.
Wow.
The number one was education, because they felt that their kids needed to get a good education to get forward. That was number one. Number 2 was jobs. So on. Do the surveys so the local politician, when he's out there, knows what that community wants, what that community is into. Don't just think that what works nationally or in other parts of the state is going to work the same here. I've always been of the opinion there's 3 Floridas: the Panhandle, Central, and South.
Okay, right. And I recently heard that during the recent debate or candidate forum that the Democrats held, that they were in consensus about knowing who your candidates are, knowing where they're coming from, and knowing their voters, and localizing these campaigns. You know, with the consultants that they're bringing from out of town, out of state, it's not working. It's evident that it's not working, and that there should be a better communication and better involvement at the state level with those particular leaders and consultants at the very local level who have been winning, who know their communities and know where their votes are. And also, one of the things that unfortunately I did not hear that often during that candidate forum was messaging. What is the Democrats' message?
That's a good question. The Democrats right now is been for the last elections, vote for me because I'm not as bad as the other guy.
Right.
If you want the presidential campaign, Biden is not as bad as Trump. Trump is bad, you need to vote for me because I'm not as bad. Here, I'm not sure. We had a Senate race recently, and I'm not sure what the message was for that race. We had a governor's race. I'm not sure what the message was either. So basically, there is no centralized message, and basically they have forgotten about the working man and the working woman, because that's the bread and butter of this. Of this, it has been always we're not as crazy as the other guy. Well, we have our own crazies within the party. So and so we need a messaging, but really, messaging to me is more local.
Right.
I would not use the messaging that I would use in Orange County and Seminole and their next door neighbors. I would not use the messaging of Osceola in Orange.
Thank you.
Because it's completely different. So messaging should not be a state party position. It really should be the local parties. Unfortunately, the local parties are extremely weak because the state party doesn't help them.
Right. And to take that further, in my practice, we'll take from the overarching themes of the Democratic Party, the Florida Democratic Party, even the National Democratic Party, and personalize that message for our candidates, for their community, and know what's trending, what's popular. In the most recent election in 2022, one of the biggest issues that drove attention to the election was rent stabilization here in Orange County. And our friend, now Vice Mayor, Maribel Gomez Cordero, was a champion of this measure that passed, and it also helped drive turnout for her election. And because she spoke to it, she was giving press conferences, she was speaking to the people who were involved, who were affected by this particular ordinance. And so it resonated. So again, going back to what you said and what we've been talking about, localizing those messages and getting your people to come out.
Yes, and basically, if you want to come here and say to people, well, we have a problem with the sea coming into Miami, yeah, that's a big issue in Miami. Here, it's not a big issue. Puerto Ricans, for example, you talk to them about immigration, we don't have a problem with immigration.
Mm-hmm.
Others do, but we don't. So it's all about the local. And for example, in Orange County is a very liberal county.
Yes.
Compared to other counties, it's very liberal. Seminole is semi-semi, but for example, it's kind of interesting to say this, but Osceola is more conservative than Seminole. So you have to understand what you're campaigning and what you're campaigning for. Because basically right now, people are divided among many issues. And for example, and what is important for your constituents, and what can you deliver? I've always been careful when I talk to people, say, hey, look, there's issues that divide us, but thank God you're running for county commission so you don't have to talk about abortion.
Right, right. Our next point is building an army of small dollar donors. It seems like that is an ongoing struggle for Democrats. The money's out there.
Well, but it's not going to be a struggle anymore because of our fiasco with Charlie Crist and with Val Demings. A lot of the national supporters have said, given up on Florida and think that Florida is a red state. So the people from California, New York, and other states that used to put money in Florida thinking that we're a purple state that can be turned blue have disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not contributing any money here for any campaign. So if you really want to run, you're going to have to get the local small donors. And
Right.
to a certain degree, you should, and this is the problem I have with Democrats, not all business is bad. There are some good businesses
Agree.
that could give you money, and I have no problem with them giving you money. There's attorneys in town who will give you $100, $200, and that's good. There's small businesses who will give you things that you could use. As a matter of fact, I know of a small business in this town who has offered Democrats a 35% off on yard signs, but they won't take him up because he's not a union shop. So
Wow.
So yes, and I'm going to go there because sometimes when we talk to small donors can be companies that are local that
Right.
might have an interest in your race.
Yes.
And I have no problem with them, but sometimes consultants will say, well, you know, that guy has a small business. He has 12 employees and he doesn't have health insurance. Well, he doesn't have health insurance because he cannot afford it.
Right.
And he's all for his employees making a salary so they can get Obamacare, which is the purpose of it, which we interfere. So yes, don't go there because one of the owners happens to be a Republican. Well, I'll take Republican money. I have no problem with
Any
that.
day.
So the problem is not excluding small donors. It's more of my thing. Sometimes I see campaigns that would exclude donors because of a perception that
Right.
might be out there. And at the end of the day, I'll be honest, the perception is more of people within politics than it is with voters. Voters want to hear your message, voters want to know what you stand for, and that's it.
Right. I agree with you, especially not assuming that this particular person or business would not be interested in supporting a particular Democratic candidate or the party because of, they're a small business owner, or they're a registered Republican, or partners with a Republican, or something like that. I believe that sometimes we Democrats shoot themselves in the foot and
Yes.
get in the way of themselves, and
You know,
and they lose that. They leave money on the table.
Now I'll give you an example. I joked about the yard sign. The only shop around here that is union is in Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you really want to go and do everything in Tampa and have to transport it here simply because it's the only union shop you can find? Look, you want to talk about doing things local? Well,
Support
John Smith,
small businesses.
support small business in your town, even if for at the end of the day they do not meet all the perfect standards of a Democrat. We shoot ourselves in the foot because we want something that sometimes really does not exist. We could get good candidates to the center, and we get good candidates to the left. We just elected probably the most liberal congressman in our district,
Yes.
who depended mostly on small donations from around the country.
Yes, that's true.
So it's proven that it can be done.
I agree with you. I agree with you on that. Which leads us to our next point here. In long-term planning, in my belief, it's going to be 8 to 12 years before the Democrats can recover from this catastrophe of 2022. That's my belief. To really make a difference, reclaim the legislature, and reclaim the mansion. And that takes creating that foundation now. What's your feeling about that,
Well,
long-term
but
planning?
It depends who they elect this week.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to go with some of the most traditional people, the party peoples, and you're going to hear this argument if you're a committeeman in a committee, he's a great fundraiser. I don't care if he's a great fundraiser. That's not the issue. Is he going to take us into the 21st century? Is he going to do something to help the local parties? Look, the Florida Democratic Party, the number one plan should be, how can we help the local parties, especially in small counties and in medium-sized counties and in large counties. Right now, the Florida Democratic Party has done nothing for the Seminole County Party. It's done nothing for the Osceola County Party. It's done nothing for the Orange County Party, and I can keep on going until I
Right.
hit the 067. The truth of the matter is that they raise funds, they have staff there, you could call them, and if you need the van, they'll sell it to you, and if you need something, they will try to help you out. They used to do seminars about how to file financial reports, which basically is more for candidates than it is really for the state party.
Right.
They have not done anything to help you with your software, with your computer, with creating an Instagram, TikTok, or Twitter. They have done nothing. And I'll give you an example of something that I saw done in another state. The Democratic Party in Georgia bought 4 machines to print yard signs.
Mm.
If you bring if you pay for the ink and the cardboard, they'll print it for you.
Wow.
And it's not only signs for candidates. The most that they printed and they were sent out to all the counties were vote Democrat. 2 words, vote Democrat. And those yard signs were all around, and they were in different places. And basically, something simple as that. They had CPAs that would help you do your financials. They had
Wow.
basically a list of donors that you could contact. They had seminars for the secretaries of the party, for the chairman, of how to improve their party. And basically, they would, part of the money that they would raise statewide would go to help out state, I mean, county parties. We don't do that here. We just, you're on your own. Do whatever
And that's
you want.
unfortunate, right?
So basically, the number one plan is how can we improve the local parties, and how can we help them succeed in elections, and how can we help them win?
Investing in that local infrastructure.
Yeah, because if the local parties win, the state party wins. It's as simple as that.
Right. And as you stated the last time, when we analyzed the first 5 points, we were talking about where the votes are, and you made it very clear. There's 7 counties, big counties.
That have 49% of the population.
You start there, but you do have to have the infrastructure.
Yeah. And you have to understand also, the state party needs to help the local parties. That should be their number one priority. There's nothing else.
Right. The last point. Stand up to DeSantis and the Republicans. And let me add my piece here. I don't think it's necessarily DeSantis. He's the boogeyman. He's carrying the message, his agenda. It's just the messaging and what these particular Republicans stand for based on their legislation is what we should be focusing on.
Yes, the problem is that we don't. We focus still as a national party. We're still afraid to say that it's not a good idea to take away things from the people, to take basic freedoms away from the people. It's not a good idea to say that when you're talking about freedom, you're talking about taking away my freedom, not giving me freedom. You're talking about taking away my freedom. Call them out. Call them out when they do things like they want to pass right now more funding for charter schools, and by the way, and what vouchers, and the 2 legislators proposing it own private schools. Wow!
Surprise!
Call them out when there's a conflict. Call them out when basically they're lying to you. But it's not. It's like, no, we're going to stick to our message of what we're going to do, but we're not going to criticize them. But you know something? Ever since I can remember, they call us dirty words. They use woke, which I'm not sure what that means, because woke is the ideas of 2 or 3 people, and they think that that's the idea of the party, which it's not, or not even a liberal thing. But then they will say that liberals want this, liberals want that, Democrats want to spend, Democrats want to block your freedom, but they don't give you a practical example. It's time to take the fight back. But you know, for that, what we're going to have to do?
What's that, Jimmy?
We're going to have a leader, because right now, can you tell me, David, who's the leader of the Florida Democratic Party at this time? Because I don't know who it is.
As far as I know, we are without a leader.
Because Charlie Crist was our candidate for governor for the 2nd time, and last time, praise the Lord. But you know, we don't have anybody else. We really don't have anybody else. All we have right now is people who might be the next president of the Florida Democratic Party, but those people are going to be in their office raising funds, and they're not going to be speaking on behalf of the party. As a matter of fact, I will tell you one thing. The position for the last 15 years is that the chairman of the party does not speak for the party. So when the press calls them, they stay behind.
Wow. There's some inner workings of the party itself that needs to change.
Oh, there's a lot of
to be effective.
Yes.
It seems, again, the Democrats kind of get in their own way of being effective.
Oh, yes.
And getting results.
We need to take the offensive. I'm sick and tired of playing defense. I really am. I'm sick and tired of saying, okay, you could call me a liberal and that's a dirty word, and if I call you a conservative, that's a badge of honor for you. Well, let me tell you something. Liberal for me is a badge of honor. We gave the women to vote. We gave the African Americans to vote. We brought it the EPA. We did the vote, and everything else that we've done. We don't have to share. What have the Republicans done in the last 25 years? Put more money in the pocket of the rich, and keep the rich richer and the poor poorer. That's their claim. Why don't we have that discussion? No. Who is going to be the leader of the party in the state? We don't have one. We don't have a leader.
Right.
As a matter of fact, I'm going to go a step further. Who's the leader in Orange County? We don't have one.
Dawn Curtis is the chairwoman, yes.
Yeah.
However, I received the email stating that the DEC is requesting opinion, people's point of view as to what the strategic plan should be. So they're putting together a plan by committee of the membership. And I think by April, something will be presented. We're halfway through the plan, the 20-point plan that we're talking about.
And who's on that committee? Because you're not on it, and I'm not on it.
I'm not. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing outside of the party. And
Okay.
I'm more than happy to have that conversation with them.
And let me end this in a different way. Plans are good to have, but they stink if you don't implement them.
Amen to that.
I have a plan. Yeah. Are you implementing it? No. What are you doing to implement it? Really?
And
Nothing.
that's the key.
And that is the problem. The plan that was implemented in 2016 by the Florida Democratic Party was to strip the committeemen and committeewomen and make them one vote per person. Like that would help us win an election? I have no idea. That would just help give more power to the consultants and everybody else to run the party at their will. Look, this Saturday there's an election, and if you're going to elect the same people and expect a different result, it's going to be interesting. So I'm going to beg you, state committeemen, state committeewomen, be very careful who you vote for, and if you want to call me and ask me a question, I have no problem answering it.
All right. Okay.
Okay.
That's Jimmy Auffant. We've got 10 more points of this 20-point comprehensive plan to resurrect the Democratic Party of Florida. So stay with us. Please like, share, hit the notification button, join our community, visit us on all of our socials, our website, and there's a lot more ahead. Thank you.